open?
We do have a new open.
We have a brand new open for Kent's Movie Club.
We do. I don't remember if I put it in the system or not. Damn it.
Oh, no.
We have to play the open. We must play the open. I worked very hard on that open.
And it's a really good open, too. All right, we got it.
Here we go. Let's do this.
Friday, the final day of the week. These are the voyages of the program Unsportsmanlike conduct. Its ongoing mission to explore strange new movies, to seek out new bits and new edifications, to boldly go where no radio program has gone before. Oh, Kent's Movie Club. It's El Kent's Movie Club. El Kent's Movie Club. It's El Kent's Movie Club.
We had signed off.
We get to see Kent's face and see how annoyed he is with us each week when we do our.
I am not annoyed, but it woke the cat up.
Well, you know, it's funny. It's funny you mentioned that, Kent, because after we signed off last week, I told the story about when I was recording that, and our cat, during one of the outtakes, came up to the door of the room I was in and started howling as if it had been shot. So I think I've hit some notes there that were not meant to be heard by anything but animals.
I think so. He looked, eyes opened up and like, what?
Well, here he is. First time ever in our video stream on youtube.com. L. Kent Wolgamott of the Lincoln Journal-Star donning the Raiders hat today.
Of course.
And we are reviewing Horse Girl, which is a Netflix original, correct? I believe.
Well, it was a Netflix pickup from the Sundance Film Festival.
Okay.
What happens at these film festivals is part of why they do them is to get picked up by distribution. And this one was at Sundance this year, and Netflix bought it and put it up like 2 weeks after the festival. Bang, bang.
Wow.
Well, and as we were talking about just before we came on, the stars, Alison Brie, who, if you remember the series Mad Men, played Trudy Campbell, the wife of Pete Campbell, the very waspy wife of Pete Campbell. But she also produced and wrote this film. So this is her project.
And co-wrote with the director. So it's their two projects together, right? And that, I think that contributes to a little bit to why the thing has a tendency to kind of go off the rails later on, is there was nobody in the process to say no. Right?
Interesting, Kent. But like before we kind of get into some of that stuff, I thought that she was great and she sold that character so well. You know, I've seen her on a bunch of different stuff. She was on Community, of course, for many years as well. She is an incredible actress, but this showed some range that I didn't know that she had, that she could play this type of character.
Which is precisely why I watched it in January.
Okay.
That was the reviews were, you know, not the greatest movie in the history of the world, but she was really good and managed to create this very believable character that is certainly not anything like she'd done before. And I would agree with that 100%.
So Horse Girl, Alison Brie plays a woman who works in a craft shop. She's a younger woman who has had her mother and her grandmother have had an interesting past, and she obviously has some mental issues going on that slowly develop through the course of the film. And she, by the end of it, she's convinced that she's been abducted by aliens, and she's seeing things.
She's a clone.
She thinks she's a clone. She thinks she's a clone of her grandmother, who she's, looking at in a picture, and she's very obsessed with the color peach.
Yes. That's the issue with the picture, right? you have to push it all the way up to where she is in the talking to the quote social worker, who I was more a psychologist, I think.
Yeah.
And then goes through her whole, well, this is what happened to my mom, this is what happened to my grandma, this is why I feel this way. And it didn't tell you that anywhere until you got up to that. And to me, that was the best part of the movie. And then as soon as they spelled out all the details of it, then it just became kind of this offbeat little mental, was she abducted by aliens or just crazy, and that's what I was talking about the flaw in the screenwriting is you could have revealed a little bit of that gradually rather than wait until 30 minutes before the film's over and then here's what really happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Kent, the ending, it makes me wonder if in the end she's right about like literally everything. And I thought the scene specifically when she walked into the store that she worked at naked, and it was like, okay, obviously something is going on, and she's not just going to randomly disappear into that area without like forgetting it. I don't think so. In the end, was she right? Like all these theories that she had, do you think that she was correct?
That's what the movie wants you to ask.
Yeah.
Was she right or was she not, was she completely crazy?
Yeah.
And that is the power of her performance that you even asked the question, right? If she'd have been terrible in it, you'd have gone, what a waste, right?
Yeah.
But she was so good and so inhabited that part that you got to the point, well, maybe she is, maybe she isn't, which is probably the other thing about this movie that I had. How do I want to put this? I had some admiration for, let's put it that way, is that it kind of gave you the perspective of the mentally ill person, right? It came from her point of view, and you really don't see that very much in movies. Anyway, I can't think of too many that give you, it's usually an observational of them.
Mm-hmm.
And in this one, it was almost from her point of view, the whole movie.
Which seems like it might be
go ahead.
kind of the entire point of it was the whole ambiguous ending, not really answering any questions, leaving it up to the viewer. They're kind of leading you on to believe, like to give you a look inside of the mind of someone who deals with those type of things. They don't know what's real. She didn't know what was going on. She was obviously confused. I think they're trying to kind of plant that into your brain to kind of feel like how they feel and just be like, what the hell is going on here right now?
And I think they did a really good job of that.
I would agree.
The other thing that I liked about this movie is it sort of started off like, oh, this is going to be a indie comedy, romantic comedy.
Yeah.
Here's this real nerdy girl, no friends, all of that. And then she gets introduced to the guy who she kind of hits it off with, that, and you can see that tumbling into a romantic comedy formula really easily. And then, woo!
Yeah, when they go that scene where she's like, hey, let's go here, let's just do one more thing. And so they go to the guy's house, and then, hey, let's do one more thing. And then suddenly they're at a graveyard. It's like, oh my gosh, this movie is going into a direction I was not expecting at all.
Talking with Kent Wolgamott of the Lincoln Journal-Star. Yes, if you can't tell on the radio, we are in the stream on YouTube. So if you want to check it out, it's on Stibbs TV. The link we've provided for you on our JTech Construction Zone Twitter page. But Kent, what did you think of the title, The Horse Girl? Because yes, there is a horse in the movie that she's obviously connected with, but it doesn't play that central a role. You see, the first visit to the stable. There was obviously some kind of an accident in the past that hurt a friend of hers. And then, of course, she finally steals the horse and escapes with the horse at the end of the film. But it's not like the horse or the relationship with the horse seemed, at least to me, to be that central to the story itself.
Other than she was clearly obsessed with it. She kept going back, right? she would go, and they didn't want her around, was obvious.
Right.
But she still kept going back to this horse like it was hers. And the way I took that was the only thing from her past that she was able to hang on to, right? Everything else had either changed or they were dead or whatever. And that was the only thing that she had to hang on to. And that's
and absolutely refused to let it go. I mean, the people who now own the horse or who had them in their stable were very clearly telling her to not come back and giving overt tones of like, okay, you're not supposed to be here. And she just wasn't picking up on it all. She refused to believe that she couldn't go there and see the horse, that it wasn't her horse. She would not let go of that.
Absolutely. And once again, and that also is another reflection of her mental problems, whatever they might have been. You know, if you were in a situation like that and been told 3 or 4 times, don't come back, you probably wouldn't come back.
Or at least argue it. What's funny with her is they would say something and she would act like she didn't even hear it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, guys, good luck. Don't do that next time. Bye. Like,
Man, you just said the word reflection, and I wanted to ask you guys all about something, because there was a couple of times where she was sitting in front of her mirror, and there was 2 mirrors, and the small one to our left, her left, her face looked a little different. And then there was other times during the movie, I don't know if you guys noticed it, there was probably an hour, 15 minutes in maybe, she's walking around, and I kept thinking like, wow, it looks like they changed her face on purpose. Okay, so Stibbs obviously noticed that as well. What are we to make of that? Is it something with her grandma? Because I'm trying to figure out, you know, what exactly is happening, because her features definitely looked a lot more like her grandma than they did her current iteration, which was interesting too, because it's obviously the same actress, but it was just a few just tiny differences with the shape of her face.
And I think you hit right on what it was. It was her seeing that going, I'm my grandma, right? Where she's she's a clone of her grandma, or she is her grandma, or whatever. And I think that was how they were trying to tell you that. Right?
Yeah, by the 2 mirrors, it was like, here's how she sees herself, and here's how you see her.
Right.
Thing.
Right.
Interesting.
What was up with those scratches?
That's a great point. We never got an answer to that.
That was like the red herring, or the what? Yeah. It's not red herring. There's another MacGuffin. That's what Hitchcock would call a MacGuffin. You throw something in and make it in the plot, and then you never deal with it, and it doesn't really have anything to do with the story. What?
Yeah, that's a great point, because at the very beginning, after they have this little house party where she meets this blind date for the first time, the next morning she wakes up on the floor on top of all these cushions. She's obviously fallen asleep on the floor, and the roommates are kind of confused about it. And you see these 4 giant, look like, a giant fingernail scratches in the wall. And the roommate says, hey, you need to get this fixed. And they go back to that a second time, but then they never explain what that was about. My guess is we're just supposed to feel it's part of her sleepwalking, because she obviously has a sleepwalking issue, and that she had done this on her own, but they never really explained exactly what the significance of the scratches
and
were.
They never do anything else with it. They just have it in there twice and then move on.
And how about the first time that we saw her standing there? So the boyfriend comes into the kitchen to get a drink, and when he walked by, you see her, and it's like, I'm just waiting, like, what is going to happen when he turns around? Is he going to get murdered? Because at this point, obviously, it's a weird movie. I know it's going to be strange. And in that moment, I think everything for me was on the table. He could die. He could kill her. Like, what's going to happen in these 2 moments?
Yeah.
Yep. And then she just walks away.
Yeah, then she turns away back to her room.
Well, what do you think? It's obviously purposefully left open for interpretation, and everyone's going to think whatever they want to think. Do you think there's aspects of real and something in her head kind of mixed? Do you think everything was in her head and she's just a unfortunately mentally ill person? Do you think it's maybe an interesting look at what happens to a mentally ill person when actual crazy things happen to them? Like maybe she was, especially the end, she's levitating. Again, that could all just be in her mind. But the fact that they're showing it to you as the viewer with no one else around makes you think they're trying to tell you this is actually happening here at the end. Was she maybe actually abducted by aliens? And then as a mentally ill person, she's trying to figure out why that's happening and how and what happened to her.
Or is she, the other option is she's already been sort of overtaken by this, and this is just the process of getting abducted.
Yes.
And I always vote for mentally ill in a situation like this, but you could you could read it either way anyway. And that's probably good. I mean, I think it would be, had it had some sort of, she gets locked behind the door in the, asylum, it wouldn't have worked as well. I don't
basically answer it for you there. Yeah.
I liked Stibbs's interpretation of she is mentally ill, but maybe some of this stuff is happening to her. And so it shows what happens when somebody who is like that already then has to deal with something absolutely crazy and paranormal. I think that's an interesting way to view it.
Yeah.
So
One more question.
what was everyone? Oh, go ahead, Stibbs.
The very, 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 very end, if I remember correctly, you see a replay of a scene from very early on in the movie of the horse's ass walking away from the window. That's basically like the thing that I left that movie with was, what the hell does that mean? Now are we in some sort of time warp where this has happened already, and maybe that's where the alien, that's what made me think maybe the alien.
Remember, she said when she was talking to that psychologist about everything's a loop.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
So maybe she was abducted by aliens.
And they obviously, that was planned way early, because that first time the horse walked across was maybe in the first 15 minutes of the movie.
It was early, yeah.
And so everything's a loop. So maybe it is a loop, and maybe she isn't crazy.
Yeah, maybe the dreams that basically this door that she would open, sometimes a real door, sometimes a theoretical door. Maybe it's just something that allows for her to go around and around. Like I would love to see some like a backstory with her grandma, just to see like what was she feeling and what was she seeing. And I mean, I don't know if I'd watch a whole nother, Horse Girl 2, Grandma's Revenge. Genuinely, yeah, I'd kind of like to see like what was she going through, back 80 years ago or whatever it was.
Yeah.
By the way, Ian on the JTech Instruction Zone Twitter feed says we have a new term for the last season of Game of Thrones: one giant MacGuffin.
Yeah. Yes.
Might actually be a very good use of that term. So, all right, we're back to Josh in the rotation now for choosing a film. Unless Kent, we have not yet allowed you a chance to pick. If you
go. I like this better, because I'll pick something that I've seen or that I want. This is more fun.
All right, so I have never seen this movie. It has been on my list for, I don't know, a long time. I don't know if John is going to like this genre of...
Oh, great. It's the Care Bears movie.
Mind-bending and understated and cerebral, but I've never seen the 2009 movie Moon with Sam Rockwell. And yeah, so...
That's a good one.
Okay, Moon is my pick. It is available on Netflix. It just actually went up this week. So yeah, Moon is the pick. I'll tweet out.
He's one of my very favorite actors. Sam Rockwell is a mark of quality. If you see him in a movie, it's going to be kind of quirky, kind of weird, and he's going to be real good 100% of the time. The one he did about Chuck Barris is a classic.
All right,
I have not seen that one yet. I may pick that one at some point. I'm a big Gong Show guy, so I might not want to mind seeing the Chuck Barris film. All right, well, there it is. First time ever in the video stream. If you've always wondered, does the voice match the face? Well, I think it does. Of course, I've seen Kent. I know Kent. I've known Kent for a long time, so I know. I mean, it the whole picture, it just matches. Though I'm a little disappointed we're not seeing like any NBA gear on.
Yeah, no Lakers stuff.
Well, Lakers next time. This is South by Southwest.
Oh, nice.
Fine.
R.I.P.
I'll go full Lakers for you. I'll go Lakers, 80s Lakers, maybe. I can dig up.
The good Lakers
stuff.
Much better choice than Raiders. You can throw that hat in the trash.
Oh, no.
By the way, Ken, speaking of Lakers, real quick, how are you feeling about the NBA? It seems like we're really close to some sort of an announcement about the league returning.
Yeah, I think they're going to end up like playing in what, Orlando and Las Vegas with no crowds and all the Western Conference teams on one side and the Eastern on the other, something like that. And if they can do that and keep them healthy, go for it. The only question I have is, you're not just talking the 200 players and you've got all the training staff, the coaches, the people actually running the buildings, all of that. So that's a lot of people you're going to be bringing in there. And I don't know what happens if somebody gets the virus that's allegedly quarantined in there. So, but I think you'll see it happen. I think, one, they want to make it happen, and two, there's a whole lot of money at stake here. Those broadcast contracts are not cheap.
No, they're not.
And isn't it all about money at the end of the day?
Absolutely. That's why you're going to see college athletics back. It's all about money.
Yeah,
That's
indeed.
right. Well, Kent Wolgamott in the Kent's Movie Club. Kent, it's great to see you again. I'm glad you're doing well, and we'll look forward to reviewing Moon next week. We will actually be back in studio, so you'll get to see us behind a shower curtain, apparently.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't know when they'll have us go back to the paper, but I will probably be at home anyway.
Well, enjoy.
Well, we look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks, Kent. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Kent.
You bet. There he goes, Kent Wolgamott of the Lincoln Journal-Star. How cool was that? That's the best connection we've ever had with him.
Yeah, right. We should, no matter what happens moving forward, Kent will always be in the movie in the YouTube stream moving forward.
The funny thing is, ever since we've started the movie club, the phone connection was never bad. Of course, he's been stuck at home, so we've probably been on a regular landline. So Moon, which is now up on Netflix, is our next film. And so you've got a week to watch it, and you can join us again in the movie club next week. We've got more coming up. It is a One Beer Friday.
Oh, baby.
It is a Memorial Day weekend One Beer Friday. And we have that and What You Say. And there's a bunch of other stuff I haven't gotten to yet, including the athletics survey of anonymous college football players about their concerns, what concerns they have about returning in the age of coronavirus. So we can get to that too, coming up on 1620 The Zone. Should we just keep this up?
Yeah, we can do that.
Through One Beer Friday for the rest of the show? I don't care.
Fine by me. Don't say anything bad.
We're staying up. We're staying up.
I'll be right back.
And if you have problems staying up, contact our great local business, Next Gen Male Medical Clinic.
That's right. I got to make sure I have the right link here. So I link the right thing. It is. Oh, you know what I wish I would have tested this. You know what would be fun is to bring up my second computer and find a highlight video of the car chase, and we could break it down.
That would be awesome.
That would be fun. But I would have to fire up this other computer, and it's not a very good computer. But I would like it. think I let my dogs outside. I better go let my dogs inside. Is it about to rain? I should double check. I hope not. Ooh. Could be interesting.
Is it raining there, John?
No, it has not been raining. But there's more. There's more coming. There's more coming, folks. I gotta go let the dogs in. How much time do I have, Stibbs?
1 minute.
1 minute.
I'm pumped to watch Moon again. I watched it when it first came out forever ago, so I don't remember. I remember it being weird. I don't remember. I don't remember anything about it, so I'm excited to watch it again.
Yeah, it's so funny. I don't know why I never watched it. It always sounded interesting to me. You know what it was too? I saw the poster and I was like, well, that's a cool poster. And so
yeah, it's a sweet poster.
Yeah. So I went and Googled it and I was like, oh, this sounds interesting.
Yeah.
By the way, is this segment going till One Beer Friday?
I can make it. I haven't done it yet, but I can probably I'll check.
Okay. John, do you want to? Oh, he is not on yet. John, do you want to go until One Beer Friday here? Or do you want to just combine? Go till 40.
It's unsportsmanlike conduct.
So I can come punch you in the face.
The 1620. The Zone.
Welcome back. We are still on Stibbs TV, so if you want to watch along, you can go to youtube.com. If you're not already a subscriber to Stibbs TV, check it out. But we've got the link for you up on the J-Tech Construction Zone Twitter feed, so if you want to watch us during breaks, you can, if you'd like.
If you can handle John shirtless, that's on you, I guess.
Yeah, every time we go to a break, he takes off his shirt, and then we come back on the air.
This was a rather boring interlude. It was me checking the radar, and Josh was out of the room.
Yeah, I went and closed a window and used the restroom. So good time.
Yeah. So yeah, we didn't really entertain you very much during the breaks, but that's not our job.
Behind the curtain.
Well, next week it'll literally be a curtain, Stibbs.
Yes. For the people that weren't with us yesterday, would you like to again show them what our setup's going to be? This is our last day. For now, we hope, working from home. Starting next Tuesday, we're all going to be back in the studios. And to prepare for our arrival, Josh has demanded that we initiate some safety measures. So, yeah,
why would I want to stay at home and not have to drive to work? I want to come back into the office, but only if you build me things. That is what I said to our bosses, and they acquiesced.
We do.
So let's get the zoom in here on Stibbs, and I'll describe for the radio folks what we've got here. There's Stibbs' face. God, oh my jeez, God, what the hell are you doing?
You said zoom in on Stibbs.
I don't want to see you.
Oh, look at that! Look at
there. It is, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh man, look at
that right there.
Studio. It looks so beautiful and empty.
Come on inside.
Yeah. Yeah, there it is. There's our plexiglass screen in the middle. That is a shower curtain that is going to separate. Josh will be to the right of the shower curtain behind the microphone you see there, and I will be to the left of the shower curtain behind that monitor and the microphone you see there. And yes, we will have a clear shower curtain and a plexiglass screen to keep us from spitting on each other during the program,
which is a good idea. You guys have been known to spit constantly at each other when you argue, which is all the time.
Yeah.
So I think this is a great idea. We honestly should have done this years ago.
You know what I realized, Stibbs, is after March, we get into this time period where every day we put the curtain down, like the actual curtain for our window down later and later, because the way that the sun hits into the studio goes right into Stibbs' face, and so we end up adjusting that. Well, now, because I looked it up today, I found the email from the first time I went home. It was April 6th when I sent that email. And so I was home the next day, and then I think I went in the office on Tuesday, and then I've been home since. And so we've been home now for a month and a half. We missed like this entire period of the sun setting later, and I don't even know what time I'm going to have to put the curtain down on Tuesday. So hopefully everything goes okay.
I have no clue.
Well, and then I'm going to have a problem because I like to pace during the breaks. Is my walking path still okay? Am I going to be allowed to walk? Am I
Well,
going to
the
wear a
walking
mask when I walk?
The path is there, but that's a good question. I mean, we have this giant plexiglass thing so that your spit and breath and whatever else cannot get to me. But if you come just traipsing around this corner and walking back and forth, you're going to be like a foot and a half away from me.
You can walk, John, as long as you wear your mask inside of the studio.
I think that might be it. You also have to wear booties on your shoes like the nurses do.
Oh, that's
Wait, what?
Yeah,
Really?
It's a new rule.
Yeah.
I may have come up with a really good idea on accident when I said something about a peek behind the curtain. We should do like a daily or weekly segment where we literally do a peek behind the curtain and then move the curtain. And then, I don't know, we'll figure out what we're actually talking about later. But
yeah.
All that matters is the title and the voice is cool. We'll figure out the content afterwards.
And the literal peek behind the curtain.
Yeah.
I just realized because of the booties comment that we're going to have to be wearing the gloves again. And that's the thing that I have not missed at all.
This is the thing I'm actually annoyed about.
That's the part that sucks.
To be honest with you.
Of honestly, like the mask thing, I don't understand why this is a whole controversy. I don't care. I wear a mask. The gloves, though, I do not like them. That my hands.
CDC has told us you cannot contract anything unless it goes into an orifice. So these do nothing once I actually touch something in here.
There's the latest CDC thing that says that they're not 100. They're not clear if things can live on surfaces anymore.
Yeah, it's
right.
I get it. Take precautions, but man, it makes my job immensely harder. It takes me like 6, 7, 8 full minutes to send like a 3-word text, which is something I have to do behind the desk sometimes.
Yeah,
like,
behind the curtain.
Infuriating.
Speaking of the curtain, Steve says, why use a shower curtain? Just have Bishop do the show sitting in a bathtub. Yeah, why don't we have you just chilling in a bathtub? Why haven't you done that at all over the last 2 months, John? That'd be a good bit.
Huge waste.
I don't know. I mean,
oh baby,
say this.
I'm not sure.
Chance.
I'm not sure if this is a very good idea. Be traipsing around the house on live TV, or live internet stream. But let's
tell your wife to stay in the room.
She's not here.
Closed. Okay.
She's at work.
Man, I was looking forward to her yelling at you.
No, she's at work. All right, here it is. This is my shower. This is the
Wait,
tile. Remember the tile project I did?
Oh, it looks good, man.
Yeah, this is the tile that I did. And this is my shower. This is where I stand naked every morning.
Oh, that's pretty cool, John.
Oh, it's wet in here, though. I don't want to sit down. It's wet.
Too bad.
It's wet here in the shower. There's the new shower head. Yeah, there.
Fancy.
There's my razor.
I see you have Miami colored poof balls. That's interesting.
Oh yeah, this is my poof ball, the orange one. That's mine, and that's Sam's because we share this bathroom. So there you go. But I can't sit down in the tub. It's wet.
Come on, you gotta have a towel in the bathroom, right? Just throw a towel down there.
I like the things, the shower, the shampoo and conditioner. You got the little doohickeys over there. Is that?
Is that what that is? A little dispenser?
Shower gel and shampoo dispenser.
John,
oh, you know
here.
what? You know what? The shampoo's looking a little low here. Hang on a second. Man, I'm already.
We give Jack Mitchell a bunch of crap for having 15 freaking bedrooms in his house. I wonder if he has a shower gel and shampoo dispenser. We might need to start giving John.
Oh, hey, if you think this is crazy, my wife has 3. There's shampoo, there's shower gel, and there's conditioner.
Sweet. What's wrong with the bottles that they come in?
Nothing. We like the little dispensers.
Okay. I get why people put like salt and pepper in different dispensers because people
Nivea for men. It's cool and it's 24-hour fresh. It's a good thing because I didn't take a shower this morning. So there we go.
There's a reason why Unsportsmanlike Conduct is the #1 afternoon radio show in Omaha, Nebraska. It's because
this is not that reason.
We take you into showers. I think we need to have all of the listeners, all the friends of the program, show us what their showers look like. I want to see this. Who else has,
do like a yeah, this is a good idea.
I like a home tour.
Yeah.
I mean, sure. I mean, we can do that if
you like a shower review.
Shower. Oh,
sure.
See, now I want to start doing this. I want to start grading our listeners' showers and how good the setup is, what it's like. Is it big enough?
Do they have separate dispensers?
They
Do
have
they not
separate
like the
dispensers.
plastic bottles that their shampoo comes in?
They have like the faucet, from above, and then the ones from the side. Like you ever go to a rich person's house and they're, barely richer than John, like those showers, those things are ridiculous.
What are you talking about? That is a very basic shower. I mean,
Well, the shower is, but the dispensers like are a $500,000 by themselves. So
Oh,
I've
yeah.
seen that before.
what are you talking about? Those things were probably like $8 at Bed Bath and Beyond, and it was probably half off that day. So it was like $350. I mean, those are some cheap ass dispensers, but they have lasted the entire time. I mean, those suckers have been in there for 10 years.
Jeff wants to know: is your shower wet or moist?
Right now it's just wet.
Just a little wet action going.
Maybe later it can be moist.
Amazing
if you'd
Daniel
like.
says, all I heard was you don't get anything unless it goes into an orifice. Can confirm. And then Scott says best radio on YouTube ever.
Best radio on YouTube ever. He's probably right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, wow. We
All
have the
right.
most viewers so far of this entire pandemic watching live. I think it's because we were reviewing your bath. So I think we need to do this. All of our listeners, take us through a tour of what you got going on in the bathroom, specifically your showers, maybe your bathtubs. We want to see what you're working with, but not what you're working with.
Well, I mean, it's you whatever.
Well, I mean, all right. Well, we've already seen the bath. You want to take a look? Here's my trophy case. You want to see my Cubs World Series trophy?
Oh, yeah. You talk about this thing all the time.
That's my big screen right there.
2 TV
Next
sets.
to the world champion Chicago Cubs pennant.
John, I am proud of you. You have a
Oh,
sound
and
bar.
by the way, here's my Doug McDermott bobblehead. Notice anything missing?
What did you do to him?
The cat knocked it off the wall and broke his arms off.
Stibbs, first good thing a cat's ever done. Am I right?
Yeah, poor Doug.
No longer the best shooter in Creighton history, I guess.
There's my there's my Rosenblatt Stadium brick.
Well, that's cool.
And this right here, remember when we did the show and tell? That's the dirt from Mount Buck
Oh, yeah.
way back in the day. And right there on top of the old TV, which I haven't gotten rid of yet, there it is.
That's
The
pretty
replica 2016 World Series trophy.
People forget that the Cubs won the World Series in 2016. The
No,
last
they don't.
event
John
that
won't
happened
let
in
them.
2016.
And the replica championship ring.
Oh, I didn't know you had one of those.
Yeah, my friend got that for me.
John, I'm proud of you, man. You got a sound bar. I'm proud of you.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I bought that in
Christian.
2016 when I got the new big screen. I
Oh,
made
yeah.
sure, because the sound that comes out of these TVs is trash.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah, this is my Samsung sound bar, and it's a quality. What are you pointing at? Oh yeah, Christian wants me to show this is the watch that my wife bought me. It's a Cubs.
My wife.
I remember
There's actual pieces of Wrigley Field seat in that watch.
that's pretty cool.
And my wife is very upset at me because I never wear it. Well, I wore it once to a Creighton basketball game, and one of the pins came out and it almost fell off.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
wouldn't
the-
want to mess up something like that.
Yeah, she doesn't understand. She doesn't understand the whole, how come you don't wear it? Well, first of all, it's a more of a dressy watch. The only time I ever get dressed up is when I go to Creighton games.
And we don't do those anymore.
RIP.
And we're not doing those right now. So there you go. Tour my house.
Minnesota Husker goes, is this up all day usually? And no, it is not. We usually do this segment like once or twice, but we figured since it's a Friday, we're just going to do it the rest of the show.
Yeah. I mean, because
There's a limit, first of all, on how many hours of content we can do on it, throughout the week anyway. But plus, we say a lot of bad things behind the air, behind the.
Well, John does.
Yeah. I mean, he just goes on rants. He talks about people.
Women.
Yeah, it's very annoying. So we try to keep it away from everybody. We don't want to get fired.
No, we don't. All right. So actual serious sports, right? Should we actually talk some serious sports? You really want to talk some sports?
I don't.
Well, this was interesting because The Athletic has done, and kudos, by the way, to our friends like Brett McMurphy, like the guys over at The Athletic, of course, our local friends, our friends of the program, who have still been able to put out content. Honestly, at the very beginning of this whole thing, if you would have told me that we still would have plenty of content, I have never, it's strange. I have not had a day since we started doing this in the pandemic where I felt like we don't have enough to talk about.
No. Now, part of that
Never.
is we can end up talking about showers for 10 minutes, but
Right. Now, today may have actually been that day. You see, that segment was because I spent literally 2 hours watching a car chase and didn't do any show prep at all.
Yeah.
But seriously, kudos to everyone in the sports media world. And I know there's still plenty to write about because it's the whole, well, what if? How is sports going to come back? How are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? But I mean, you can only write the same story so many times. So so a lot of credit to the people who produce the content because they made it very easy for us. And one of the things, we've heard from coaches, we've heard from administrators, we've heard from college ADs, we've heard from conference commissioners, we've heard from presidents. We haven't heard much from the players. Very little from the players. And so The Athletic, and I know Mitch Sherman was part of this as well, polled 45 college football players from every Power 5 conference, also from the Group of 5, and also from some FCS schools. They had 45 different college football players, current college football players, and they polled them anonymously and got quotes and got their opinions on the questions that we've all been asking about coronavirus and about trying to play through a pandemic. And I don't know if there were a lot of responses here that were very surprising because, number one, you're dealing with obviously you're all dealing with young folks. And when you're that age, there's always that aura of invincibility that you feel that you have. Also, you're dealing with guys who, this is what they do. They play football. They want to play football. And so when I saw the poll results, it didn't surprise me all that much. On the return to campus, and they did it on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 meaning not worried at all, 1 meaning extremely worried. How worried are you about getting infected with coronavirus if you're asked to report back to school and your team this summer? And of the 45 players that were polled, 36 of them voted either a 5 or a 4. So not worried at all, and 4 being the next step down. So, I mean, you're talking 36 out of 45. That's a healthy percentage of guys who are not worried about getting infected with coronavirus.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I wasn't surprised by any of the numbers. I don't think, we'll go through them, but this one definitely did not surprise me. That there is a lot of comfort in returning, and just the lack of fear about getting infected. And I would say that I think a lot of people are kind of living this way. I mean, obviously, I know I am. I am not worried about myself getting infected. I'm more worried about me being asymptomatic and passing that along to others. That has been my concern throughout this entire process is I just don't want to screw somebody else's life up. Well, I'm 31, and so I have to imagine that 18 to 22-year-olds, they feel that way on steroids because they're so healthy, they're so in shape. And so that number in particular did not surprise me at all.
Scale of 1 to 5. 5 is very comfortable. 1 is very uncomfortable. How comfortable would you be playing in front of a full stadium or a limited capacity stadium this season? 38 of the 45 were either very comfortable or the next step down. So they voted either a 5 or a 4. And there was only 1 vote who voted a 2, which is, obviously above that. So there's obviously not a lot of concern playing in front of full stadiums. And there were they got a lot of quotes as well. And you had a lot of the same refrain that you kind of expect is, well, if you remember LeBron James at the very beginning of this saying, playing not in front of fans, that's ridiculous. you had the kind of the same refrain from a lot of these athletes. Man, it wouldn't be football if we didn't play in front of fans. So again, not surprising, at least to me.
Yeah, and I want to read one of the quotes. This was from a Power 5 offensive lineman said, I'd be okay with it in terms of myself. I wouldn't be worried about me getting sick. Me being worried about my family getting sick or other people getting sick, that's another story. And that makes sense. I have to imagine that these players, this question, it's almost more about, are you worried that fans will get sick? Or does it make you feel bad, I guess, in a sense that you are playing there and that fans are there to watch you and that they could potentially get sick. So I thought that was an interesting viewpoint from that Power 5 offensive lineman.
This was just an either or question. If it's deemed unsafe for fans to attend games in September, would you rather delay the start of the season or play in an empty stadium? 21 said they would rather just start the season on time and play. 24 said they would delay if it meant they could get fans in the stadium.
Kind of sounds
pretty
like
much a
LeBron
50-50 split. Yeah.
I mean, just a slight uptick in the push it back, and it shows that a lot of players they view this as something for the fans, and I would also imagine how much of that is just wanting the atmosphere. You know, like one of the players said, "I want it to enjoy for my family and friends," but I wonder how much of it too is about, I have a great home field advantage, and I want us to be able to take advantage of having even 30 or 40 or 50,000, or if not a full stadium. I want to take advantage of something like that.
On a scale of 1 to 5, how comfortable would you be returning to campus while it remains generally closed to students or closed to general students? And that was one of the biggest controversies was, well, can you still play sports if you don't have kids back on campus, if you just brought the athletes back? 35 of the 45 were either extremely or the next level down comfortable being on campus even without the student body there. So again, you know, and I know that the administrators have kind of backed off of that a little bit, saying, well, we could do hybrid classes. We could be online and still be okay, versus where we were back in early February or early April when it was, got to be on campus if we're going to play sports. Obviously, the administrators have backed off of that stance. The players seem rather comfortable again. 35 of the 45 said that they're perfectly fine being the only ones on campus and still playing, even if it meant the general population wasn't there.
Yeah, and I would love to know the three people that voted a 2. Like, where is it? Like the uncomfortability of it. Where is that reasoning from? Is it because you view campus life as so valuable and you want to make sure you're all together? Is it being uncomfortable that you're getting a special, permission, if you will, to be on campus and to be able to still go to school and to play? I would love to know where that answer or where those 3 answers came from.
And then they asked some lifestyle questions. Has your ability to maintain your fitness been impacted while at home? 19 said none, 25 said moderate, and only 1 said severe. How has your ability to maintain good nutrition been impacted? 29 said none, 14 said moderate, and 2 said severe. So the players are all saying, oh, this hasn't impacted us at all. Once again, it'll be very interesting to see what happens when they actually get back and working out with the same routines that they have been doing so in regular drills. I wonder how many strength and conditioning coaches will agree with those sentiments, because I just think it's very difficult, especially when you're that age, to have the discipline required to stay at a level that you would have been at normally if you would have been in a controlled environment.
Yes, because there's a difference between eating well or staying in shape and eating like a football player needs to and staying in football shape. And so anybody can count calories. All it takes is an app. Anybody can work out, but the specific muscles that are required for football, are players able to use those? I did find it a little interesting, at least to me, that there was a moderate uptick in the ability to maintain the fitness versus the food. And I wonder if the nutrition people at these universities will agree with that, because I think it's a lot easier, I would say, to view the workouts and the changes in those and how that can affect you just because you don't have all the machinery. Whereas because of like the counting calories aspect of nutrition, if you can just follow that, and like obviously it can be healthy for you and it can be good to lose weight, but it might not be the way in which they want these players to lose weight. If you're eating 2,500 calories of fried chicken versus 2,500 calories of a bunch of healthy food, obviously one is better than the other. So I would love to know what the nutrition people at these universities will think when they're back on campus.
They were asked, how would you rate the quality of how your coaches have kept you informed throughout the shutdown? 5 being well-informed, 1 being poorly informed. 30 of the 45 voted it a 5. 7 went with a 4. There was one player who said that they felt poorly informed by their coaches. I would love to know who that was. And my guess is it was probably Mike Gundy, because he's been getting all his information from the One American News Network. So there you go. But stick to sports.
Or
There are
Dabo.
no sports to stick to, John. Sorry, we got to make fun of them.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe it's Dabo because he's been making TikTok videos. None of these players had contracted COVID-19. 5 of the 45 said that someone close to them had contracted COVID-19. And like I said, there's a lot of interesting quotes in here as well from these players. All of them were polled anonymously, and you can read those for yourself if you are a member at The Athletic. This segment has been brought to you by Edwards Auto Group. Thank you, Edwards Auto Group, another great local business as part of our Support Local initiative. Edwards Auto Group, still selling cars, trucks, SUVs, and more, and a friend of 1620 The Zone. It is now time for One Beer Friday. We'll stay up here on the stream so you can watch us during the break. We'll go get our beers, and you can join us as well. Make sure you hashtag One Beer Friday on Twitter and send a picture of what you're enjoying in the J-Tech Construction Zone Twitter feed. Meow. One Beer Friday starts next on 1620 The Zone.
Grab my beer.
Ditto. I gotta go pee, but you can't come in and watch me go pee.
Schools are the heart of our communities, and at this time, and always, those who work in education inspire hope for all Nebraskans. Watch.
Minnesota Husker, if you're still in the stream, I actually have 3 tattoos, and I'm planning my 4th for when you can go out and do those things again. I guess you can do tattoos. I'm going to wait.
Yeah, that's a scary.
Yeah.
That's a scary one.
Yeah. Have you gotten your hair cut? It looks like you have.
I did.
Yeah.
I gave in.
Yeah. The way our masks are, because when I got there, she was like, yeah, so you have to wear a mask. I was like, all right. So mine it ties around my entire head. And she's like, oh, because, most of the people have the ones that just go around the ears. So I
was the same.
I basically just held it in front of my face.
Did you use the zone mask?
Yeah.
So I did what a lot of the people here are doing with theirs and just retied it before I went in. So it was like a slip knot around.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
But even then, to like get around the back of the ear and everything, she had me hold it.
Yep.
Move it over. It's wild. And there's just like baskets of towels everywhere, because as soon as someone touches a towel, they were like, throw it over there. And as soon as they hand you one, they don't take it back. Like,
do you know the person that you get your haircut from?
No. I used to go to the same person all the time, but she's basically stopped doing it. So now I just go somewhere cheap.
So yeah, mine is one of my best friend's sisters. And so, which is so nice, because throughout this entire process, we were texting, like, hey, got to push it back a week. Got to push it back a week. Or whatever. And so I felt so much more comfortable going there.
Yeah, I would too. I miss. Plus, mine were free, so I really miss that.
Oh yeah.
I got free haircuts for like 7 years. It was great.
I can't get over that picture of John. Multiple people have made references to him looking like Pennywise.
I saw that. I might like the one of just the top of his head in his shower. Even better.
That was great with his own hat.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Stibbs, how many beers are in the fridge there? I think we're gonna have to restock it next week.
Yeah, I don't think there's any.
All right.
Well, there's like a couple of the goofy ones that none of us have ever grabbed. I won't name, just in case a listener got them for us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, some of the like fruity and
Is that there's a one in there that a listener got, and I said we didn't really want to try it because it sounded disgusting, and then he unfollowed me on Twitter.
is the grapefruit one.
Nope, it was the chili
one.
If we still have that,
Which one?
the chili. It was something chili.
Oh, yeah, I know which
Remember
one.
that? Yeah.
The devil's spit or whatever it is, right?
Oh, I've been meaning to make like a beer cheese soup with one of those. I keep forgetting.
There's like 3 or 4, but they're all pretty weird. They don't sound good.
All right, yeah, we'll restock.
One 144th and Giles.
I drank beer with my friends. Sometimes I had too many beers. I liked beer. I still like beer. Had beers, have some beers. One beer, drink beer, drinks beer, drank beer, and drinking beer.
Upstairs, downstairs, where was it? I don't know, but I had one beer.
We probably have Beer Center each week. Ralph Club, biggest contributor. Yeah, I like beer. I don't know if you like Beer Center or not. What do you like to drink?
I had one beer. Friday.
Hanging out and having some beers with friends, which I gladly do, and which I fully embrace.
Well, you think it was? Nope, it was one beer. Friday.
Oh, yes, indeed. It is a Friday. It is a One Beer Friday. And today, One Beer Friday brought to you in part by Zio's Pizza. You know what goes good with beer? Zio's Pizza.
Oh,
You never had it so good.
Zio's Pizza. Another great jingle from another great local sponsor.
Yeah, they really, listen, the whole jingle thing is something that needs to come back.
Folks.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I won't even write them because I'm lazy. But if you're a great local business and you have a good jingle and you're just like sick of paying for it or having people do it, just send it to me and I'll sing it.
There you go.
And I'll do it for like half the price or whatever.
Oh, there you go.
Just undercut everybody.
Yeah.
Or if you've heard the new El Camp Movie Club open, I'll sing it.
By the
If
way,
you like to kill cats while you're doing it.
I think that when movies are back, we need to play that as the open. I love it too much. It is so good. And so I don't even care if we haven't seen them before.
We
It is
can
now
still
officially
call-
El Kent's Movie Club.
Yeah, we could still call the segment that,
Sure.
even if we're doing reviews.
All right,
But
we'll
I mean,
everything.
I also think, we could ask him about a movie here and there when they come out. I'd rather keep doing that. We can obviously talk about this, but this is way more fun.
Yes. I like talking
Yeah, I
about
would
movies
agree.
we've all seen rather than like having to dance around spoilers for movies
Exactly.
we haven't. All right.
All right. Well, this is the Memorial Day weekend.
Oh,
And we would be remiss, obviously a lot of things we're missing this Memorial Day weekend. Not as many campouts going on. Sports has been stopped for the most part. Thank God I've got a NASCAR race on Sunday. That'll be nice. But no
Yeah,
Indy 500 this
that.
year, no conference baseball. You shut up. But one thing that has not changed is the reason why we do Memorial Day in the first place, and that is to honor those who have fought and lost their lives in defense of our country. And my annual salute to John Robertson and Kenneth Ott, Kenneth Michael Ott. Those are my namesakes. They both died in Vietnam. They were both friends of my dad. And so I salute both of you. And thank you for the name, because I like John Michael. It's a nice name. And in honor of this being the unofficial start of summer, it's time for a little whiny summer shandy action today.
That sounds good.
And then I am going with a beer called Codename Superfan from Odd 13 Brewing, which I don't remember where this is from. It Colorado, Lafayette, Colorado. It's a really cool can. It arrived in the Omaha and Lincoln area a couple of weeks ago because on my Untapped, like basically all of my friends were trying it. So it was like, oh, hey, here's a new beer in town. Everybody's going to get it.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Stibbs?
Oh, poor Stibbs. He never partakes.
How come you're not drinking the Kansas City Chiefs Bud Light?
I told you. I poured it all out.
That's terrible.
I didn't. I didn't waste that man's money. He did a very nice thing for me, even if it was tongue in cheek. I still have the beers at my apartment.
No, that's good. You can hold on to them for when the Chiefs win the next Super Bowl.
All right.
And he'll enjoy them all weekend long.
Bye, guys.
Yeah.
No, Stibbs, no.
Dropping
Stibbs,
out.
no.
You know what? The funny thing is, he can take himself out. He can't add himself back in.
But we can hear. I mean, he can hear us, so no worries.
Oh, yeah, he can hear us.
Oh, yeah,
he can hear us.
Yeah,
but then again, he could knock us off the radio. So
that's true. Yeah, we don't want that.
See, this is the weird thing about this setup is that we can knock him out of this stream, but he can knock us off the radio. Because remember, kids, whether you're watching on Stibbs TV, listening on your smartphone, on the Zone app,
or speaker,
listening on your laptop. See, there's my laptop.
Oh, nice.
Or listening on the radio. Oh, my radio. There's my radio. There's my giant ass radio. There's my giant ass radio.
Oh my gosh.
Life being.
Yeah. That was actually my original sound bar. I used to plug my TV into that and use that as my yeah. But way back in the day, long time ago. No matter where it is you're listening or ingesting 1620 The Zone, you're always listening to
the radio.
Thank you.
Zach says, boo, water.
Who hates water?
Yeah.
Water's great.
I think it's more that you're drinking water. You're supposed to be drinking beer.
Yeah,
I think it's about that.
Water's great when it has barley and malt and hops and other things in it,
Alcohol.
and it's been and alcohol.
I will tweet out a picture of my bourbon and Sprite later this evening.
Thank you, Stibbs. Here's a question for you guys. Science question. Isn't alcohol like the literal thing pretty crazy when you think about it? Because it's not like an active ingredient. You can't be like, let me go to the store and get alcohol to add to my beer that I'm brewing at home. It just kind of happens from fermenting or something. Tell us about it, John.
Yes, that's exactly how it happens, Josh. It comes through the fermentation process.
Isn't that pretty cool, though? It's like
wild how things can turn into other things.
Can you imagine if Josh ever opens a distillery or a brewery, he'll be like, okay, so we got the stuff that makes it taste like beer. Do we put any alcohol in it?
Where's the alcohol? You need the alcohol. What do we want this bad boy at? 5.2? All right, give me 5.2% of alcohol. Thank you very much. I will add it to the beer.
Have you always wondered, though? I mean, what
where does isopropyl alcohol come from?
Stibbs, don't ask
me.
It's
part of it. It's a ferment. Yeah, it's stuff. But have you ever wondered why? Because if you think about the process it takes to make beer or to distill spirits, there's a lot of different processes that happen there. It's not just grab a substance and boil it and it becomes alcohol. I mean, there's a lot of different things that take place. Do you ever wonder how they got to that? At what point did they just sit there going, well, let's take some corn and let's mash it up. And then, you see them pretty little flowering trees over there? Let's throw a little bit of that in there. And then it's just, boil it. And then we take off some of the,
Dude, I wonder that all the time.
It's crazy.
So you think of a complicated recipe. Like think about cake. And all of the ways, or no, cookies is a better one. Think about the way you make cookies, chocolate chip cookies, the OG. Okay, well, who decided, or how many times did they mess up when they were like, well, that's way too much salt, or wow, that was way too much sugar? That's the stuff that always blows my mind, is how much of a pain in the ass it had to be to try to figure out how things need to be cooked, and all of the screw-ups along the way that brought about really awful cookies until somebody figured out the exact right way to cook the cookies. Science, man, it's pretty nuts. Sky, who gave me a tour one time at Lucky Bucket, he says, you see, when a mommy wart and a daddy yeast love each other very much, ... That's how the alcohol. Dave says, is this beer 1 or beer 12?
No, it's beer 1. Hey, we've been live on the stream for over an hour. You haven't seen any of us drinking during that.
That's true.
Until now.
Yeah, unless, I mean, I have seen people, drink different things out of the a bottle like the one that I'm enjoying right now.
There's plenty of clear alcohol out there.
Or my Rams cup.
There was a kid in my high school, Stibbs, who brought in a water bottle one time, and he was drinking peppermint schnapps in the middle of German class. I could not believe it because it was so obvious too. It smelled.
Yeah.
Like, dude, what are you doing?
You get away with it?
I don't think he got caught.
Steve's got the best explanation, Josh. Yeast eats sugar and produces alcohol as a byproduct. Alcohol equals yeast pee.
Awesome. I will now refer to that. Hey, what's the yeast pee ABV going on there?
What's your yeast pee percentage?
I'm not talking about your yeast pee, if you don't mind. Yeah, that's an interesting way to put it. That is a very interesting way to put it. So welcome in. This is One Beer Friday. As you can tell, we're just sitting around shooting the breeze. This is allegedly a sports show. If you missed it earlier on, the University of Nebraska, these are stories from the Lincoln Journal-Star. The football facility is on pause mode. Those are the words from Bill Moose. So there will be no construction anytime soon. Now, how soon is anytime soon? I don't know. But obviously with the situation being what it is, it's going to be it's just going to be difficult to start a project of that scope in this environment, especially when you don't know how much money you're going to be bringing in this fall. Even if there is football, is it going to be the odds of it being, quote, full football, where you get all the donor money, all the season ticket money, all the concession money, and the television money? I mean, even if they think about this, even if they do play a, quote, regular football season, and somehow they're able to have a full stadium of fans, I think the odds of having as much money in the coffers as you did in previous years is going to be difficult, because people aren't going to be spending as much on concessions.
Yep.
Probably not going to be spending as much on, Huskers authentic gear. Probably not going to be donating as much. And that's the other thing too, is, season ticket renewals, how that process has gone. Could they be backing down on some of the donations? Could the season ticket prices come down even if they fill the stadium? The odds of Nebraska being able to bring in the same kind of revenues they did last year, or for any school for that matter, to bring in the same revenues is I mean, it's almost an impossibility. And so because of that, big projects, and we're talking about a $155 million project, are going to be hard to start in this climate, not to mention the fact that, you want to think about the safety of the construction workers and making sure that they're in good shape, because you need a lot of people to work on that project, and you don't want to start something and have to bring it to an abrupt stop because maybe there's an outbreak of some kind. So my guess is that this is going to be a longer pause, and that maybe we're not going to see any activity on this until next year.
Yeah, and by the way, real quick, just to change topics for a moment, Mitch Sherman just tweeted out that he can confirm that Nebraska plans to bring its student athletes back in football, basketball, volleyball, and soccer starting on June the 1st. And he was told our decisions are made with the health and safety of our student athletes, coaches, staff, and our community as our top priority. But going back to what you were just discussing, John, I mean, you're definitely spot on in terms of just the lost revenue is going to be so pronounced in ways that I still don't even think if we know right now. I mean, if you just consider the markup that is done on, the Pepsi that they have in the stadium, the pizza that they have, the Runzas, burgers, everything like that, the money that they make just off of that alone, I mean, that's going to be, I don't know if I want to say probably going to be millions, right? Millions of dollars over the course of a season. And so that is going to be something that is really, really tough. And how willing, and maybe the better question is, how able are fans going to be to help out still with, construction efforts or anything of the like. And so today's announcement, I'm once again not surprised. It was coming for a while. It was just, I was just kind of waiting for the win. The track component of it too is like kind of this weird curveball. Like you wonder if let's pretend that they were building this area at that spot, but there hadn't been a track, they probably would have started when they announced it. They probably would have gotten the ground broken either at the end of last year. Maybe they waited till the weather picked up, and maybe they plan on starting in March 1st or whatever, if there was no track there. And so having that logistical issue as well is just another one of those problems that comes with having to build a second track and then build the facility on top of it. I wonder what this looks like at the back end. Do they go forward with the exact same plan? Do they have to alter it a lot? Do they have to cut off a chunk of the idea? Do they maybe go down to a $100 million facility instead of 150, 125 instead of 150? The long tail that this is going to have, and when this thing is going to be built, they couldn't unfortunately have picked a worse time to announce that, and they never even got to break ground.
If you can remember, when Mitch Sherman did his survey of Husker fans on The Athletic, and one of the questions was, how important is the football facility to, Nebraska football moving forward? And I don't remember the exact numbers were, but it was a very high percentage of fans who responded said that it was a very important component to the future fortunes of Nebraska football, having a larger facility, having a larger weight room, having a larger, strength and conditioning, having a larger workspace for academics and all of the other different things, offices and everything else that goes with it. And that's a poll of fans who are readers to a website. I got to imagine that the internal polling, if there's ever been an internal polling done by the University of Nebraska, probably is even stronger still, of people saying how important that football facility is. And, it was important for Scott Frost to have the necessary meeting space to accommodate 150 players versus the current facilities, which were built more with, maybe 100 players in mind.
Yeah.
Because it was built when Bill Callahan and Steve Peterson
and real
were
quick,
still
John,
around.
How about the fact too that all of this happens and then suddenly we need all this social distancing stuff with the locker room, and so it's already a locker room that is supposedly too small for the football team, and there's probably going to be some sort of a rule in place. So yeah, it's got to be so frustrating. Obviously, everyone's dealing with this frustration in a myriad of ways. But for a program like Nebraska, because Zach asks, speaking of Nebraska football, has there been an unluckier, weirder start to a coaching start than Frost at Nebraska? And I'm guessing, man, and I say this with no hyperbole, you probably got to go back to some strange stuff that happened around World War II. Like, that's probably, when you take into account all things considered, and some of this is their own doing, some of this is just the general nature of the hype that surrounded Frost. But I mean, let's be honest, they had the first game canceled. They had a guy get rhabdo in the training, 9 months before that. They go 4-8. They have a really good end of the season though. And it's like every time it seems like things are finally going to get a little bit normal, they are unable to be normal around here. And it's been that way for 20 years, but it's certainly been ratcheted up like 800 notches over the last 3. I mean, a pandemic that cancels spring football, like, no, that stuff just doesn't, literally doesn't happen ever. So the fact that they had to deal with that on top of all the other stuff, yeah, it is certainly strange.
I'm sure that there are some parallels to the 1940s and today in terms of, some of the circumstances that have confronted Nebraska football and the downturn in fortunes on the field. Of course, the 1940s and 50s were the dark ages of Nebraska football, where they only had a couple of winning seasons, went to one bowl game after the Rose Bowl, and never won a conference championship, and was the longest sustained period of losing this program's ever had. These times, these last 20 years, we've kind of considered we've considered them the gray ages, not the dark ages, but like the gray ages, because it's not quite, or dim ages, I think is how I phrased it. Because it's been very, obviously there's been a few winning seasons, but there's been no championships. There hasn't been any major bowl bids, and there's probably some similarities that we can draw, because certainly World War II hurt Nebraska football greatly. A lot of young men, of course, were enlisted into the service, and there were a lot of ROTC programs at other major schools around the country, and they were able to keep some of their athletes on campus, whereas Nebraska, it was kind of like a ragtag assembly of athletes, and then it took a while to recover after World War II ended before Nebraska could get the kind of athletes they needed. Plus, they also didn't have great leadership. So, yeah, there are probably some similarities in terms of oddities, misfortunes, bad timing, and it's. We already know that Scott Frost has been going through difficulties that I don't even think he expected.
Oh, totally.
At Nebraska, but then to have all of these other things thrown on his plate. And I said this at the outset of the pandemic, that unfortunately, it's probably going to favor those programs that were already strong in the first place. The Ohio States, the Alabamas, the Clemsons, for example.
100%.
Because they already have a very strong culture, a good backbone. They know what it takes. And so even if you throw a giant curveball into the equation like a pandemic, there is still a structure there and a stability there that you can always lean on in tough times. Nebraska is still trying to build that backbone. They're still trying to build that culture. And I guarantee you, when some of these guys come back, that the Alabamas and the Clemsons will have far fewer guys who are going to be behind in terms of their strength and conditioning than programs that don't have a solid culture. And this will be a true test for Nebraska's strength and conditioning staff to see just how much their instruction has been indoctrinated into those athletes. If Nebraska comes back and is in great physical shape, even though they haven't been in contact with their coaches face-to-face in over 2 months, then it'll be a great sign for the future of Nebraska's strength and conditioning, because it means that the instruction they've been getting the last 2 years has paid off, and that culture has been ingrained in those players. But if it's not quite there yet, and this isn't a fault of Zach Duvall or anybody in the strength and conditioning program, these things do take time. And you've got new players and new people shuffling into the program all the time. It's hard to have that constant churn of turnover when you've only been at it for a couple of years. So it would be very understandable if Nebraska, quote, slipped behind a little bit, just because it takes time to build that culture. But if Nebraska comes back better than others, then I think that's going to be a good sign for the future, that some of the backbone things that Nebraska has needed to become great again, but you don't see firsthand and doesn't always manifest itself in terms of wins right away, those things will say, hey, those things will tell you, hey, there are things happening in the background that foundation is starting to be built. So as unfortunate as being in this pandemic is for a variety of reasons, it could be a very good litmus test for how strong Nebraska's new foundation is as it tries to build on top of that foundation.
Yeah, because one of the questions that I've been asking guests here and there about over the last couple of weeks is, do you think that this is going to change the expectations, or will people be more forgiving of a bad play call or a bad play on the field? And look, this question goes beyond Nebraska. It's going to be really interesting to see when sports are finally back at the level, like, no offense to NASCAR and no offense to golf and no offense to European soccer. I'm talking about the sports that bring about the takes. What's going to happen when LeBron James bricks a shot in the fourth quarter in the NBA playoffs in front of 5 people in Las Vegas? I am so interested in how that is going to be taken in by us as just a general sports populace. Well, the next iteration of that conversation is, will this lower your expectations for Nebraska football? And that is, some people might say, Josh, that is a callous question. I cannot believe that you are asking that right now with all of the stuff going on. And you're probably right. But at a certain point, they are going to play the games on the field, and we will have to watch them, and you and I will comment on them, and Steve Sipple will write columns about them, and Dirk Chatwin will write columns about them, and we'll do bigger at overreaction, and that will be our new normal. It will be a post-coronavirus cancellation and in a current era of Nebraska football. If I'm just speaking for myself, John, I am going to lower my expectations for Nebraska football this year. And look, I had them at a 500 team, the last time we did one of those poll questions, which it'll be nice to do one of those again. But I had them at about 6-6. The issues that they have had, I think, end up more pronounced when you're not able to get 13 out of the 15 spring practices in, when you have to work out on your own at home, and you have to eat on your own at home. And like, you look at their schedule, and especially the back half. Ohio State, amazing culture. Penn State, amazing culture. Iowa, amazing culture. Wisconsin, amazing culture. And if Minnesota's not amazing culture, I mean, it's darn near close, and they're certainly a competent program. You look at even the front half, Cincinnati. Purdue had all sorts of crap that they had to deal with last year, and they've still beaten Nebraska each of the last 2 seasons. And the time before that, they should have in Mike Riley's last win at Nebraska. Illinois made it to a bowl game. Northwestern has a pretty good culture, even though they were horrible last year. So, like, you look up and down the schedule, and it is a tough schedule. Now, that's assuming that non-conference games happen and the schedule is exactly as it takes place, as it's written down right now. But I am definitely going to be changing my view on what I will judge as successful this year, and I'm going to lower my own personal bar, because they've just lost out on so much. They've lost out on bowl practices, and now that they lost out on spring, I mean, you do the math, and it's essentially like 28 practices that Nebraska missed out on by not making a bowl game last year. And that is a lot of time that they have had together. And then on top of that, of course, new receivers. J.D. Spielman's probably gone. The defense is replacing a ton in the front 7. I mean, and even guys in the back 4 too. So it's a lot of stuff that you put it into that stew, and it's not a very tasty one. But if they come out of this and they show growth, and they get even to 7 or 8 wins, I mean, that in a normal year would be like a 10-win season for me. And maybe that says something about how I am judging them right now versus others. But I have definitely started kind of preparing my mindset on what is and isn't a successful year.
We have predictions and what you say still to come. And we are going to stay up on the stream on youtube.com and Stibbs TV. But of course, we will always be back here on the radio. And we want to thank Open Door Mission for being another great local partner of 1620 The Zone. Open Door Mission, don't forget those less fortunate, even as we are all kind of wrestling through these tough times together. But the Open Door Mission still working very diligently to try to help ease the burden of homelessness and poverty in our community. Open Door Mission, another great partner of 1620 The Zone. Predictions is coming up next.
We were talking about the how people discovered food. I liked this from Dan. He said, "What about the first guy to drink cow's milk?" That guy's like, "Hey guys, check out Bessie over here. Look what I found."
My guess is that it would have been sheep first.
Oh, you think so?
Well, yeah.
I hope it wasn't a bull.
Gotta be your bull.
Gotta be your bull. Yeah, because
don't make milk. They would have been something else.
Cattle, I don't remember what the grazing were the lineage of cattle, but I don't think.
Maybe it was goats.
Or goats, not sheep.
Not
goats.
about Tom Brady.
Right. Goat's milk.
I beat John to the joke.
cattle. They're big old bovine. Around 10,500 years ago, cattle were domesticated.
What were they before they were domesticated?
Wild.
Just running around, just piercing people with their horns. And just, like,
Well, not
it's not like
all
people
cattle
have them in their
horns.
houses now. Aren't they always domesticated?
Something like that.
Yeah, when you put
What's the difference between a wild cow and a domesticated cow?
It's called a buffalo.
Being a cow would suck. Like you have to stand all day long. That sounds
Yeah.
fun. And you get
Yeah.
killed all the time.
Yeah.
Then you're eating.
And then you're eating.
Especially like if you're a cattle on a farm, like you get castrated immediately.
Oh.
Branded, that can't be fun. I've done that before, and man, they don't enjoy it. I can tell you.
Oh, I
that.
thought you were gonna say you were branded. I was like, I didn't know that.
I was not branded or castrated, luckily. I just did the branding and castration to others.
We're gonna get more rain pretty soon here
I'm
in
so
Lincoln.
sick of this garbage. I'm so ready for the sun again.
Josh, the Baz video is edited. If you'd
Oh,
like,
okay. Yeah.
just remember to do it.
Iowa has emailed out that it will resume face-to-face classes in 2020.
Kind of weird to say it that way.
Yeah, right?
That's literally what it says. It
I
says the
know.
University of Iowa plans to resume face-to-face instruction in the fall 2020 semester.
You'll stand face to face and like it.
You'll be able to have inappropriate relations with your teacher.
Congrats to the Iowa people.
Well, see, that's one of the sad byproducts of this is the number of
This is
fortunate kids.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
Hooked up with their hot teeth.
The 1620. The Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for predictions.
Under, bet the under. Vikings and the under, bet the under.
It is another week, another Friday. It is the predictions segment here on 1620 The Zone. And once again, we have nothing but live sports and Powerball. And it's only getting stronger from here. No more virtual sports. No more having to pull things out of. Well, we're still pulling things out of our rear end. I mean, we're still betting on German soccer and Belarusian soccer, and we're adding Costa Rica this week to the soccer buffet. But of course, the highlight, the big reason that Memorial Day exists in the first place is for auto racing. Yeah. But there's no Indy 500. No Indy 500 this year, but the Coke 600 will commence. And it is time to pick your three. And I just realized the Fox Bet site, is the Fox Bet site down?
It's working for me.
Is it working for you?
Did it work for you, Stibbs?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, well, it gave me something very different. But
How did
either
last
way.
week go? Did we give an update?
Oh, yes, we need to tell you about what happened last week. I went 6-4, and you two Yahoos went 4-6.
Dang it.
Garbage.
So, by the way, I am on a hot streak picking NASCAR races. I don't think I've missed in like a month.
Nobody cares.
Well, they should, because I am winning with 102 points. Josh is 83. Stibbs has 72.
Oh, man, you don't have 69 points, Stibbs.
Darn.
Yeah, for some reason, my Fox Bet is acting very funny.
It was
won't
funny
let
too,
me-
John. I kid you not. I was just about to compliment you and say, you know what? After all the issues you used to have with sending us NASCAR odds, you finally have like done a really good job lately. But now your link doesn't work.
I've
for you.
always done a good job. It's just that the links don't work very well.
John, we can make your NASCAR picks for you. How's Joey Gase sound at plus 75?
No, I am not taking Joey Gase.
Pay
Let's go with
what about Brennan Poole?
let's go with
Joey?
Kevin Harvick. Let's go with Martin Truex, and I'm going to go Chase Elliott this week.
Who won last week?
Well, Kevin Harvick won the first race, and Denny Hamlin won on Wednesday.
Isn't Kyle Busch the guy you hate?
Yeah, Kyle Busch is the guy who wrecked Chase Elliott.
All right, I'm going Kyle Busch. I'm going to go with Ryan Blaney. And is it Eric Almirola?
Amarola.
That guy.
Very, very on brand for Josh not to understand how to pronounce Eric Amarola's
come
name.
on. Stibbs?
Stibbs.
I like
Marty Trucks.
yeah. Can I get like 2 points if I just pick him and he wins it?
Sure.
Boom. Marty's taking.
All right, so you're just going with one. You're going with just Marty Trucks.
One pick for double the points.
Fine. I'm fine with that.
This is dumber than when I pick the line to end on exactly what the line is.
We'll see when Marty.
Well, actually, it's not. Martin Truex. This is like probably his best track.
Crap.
I've known this for many a time.
Bad take from me.
Okay. So who finishes higher, the feuding Kyle Busch or Chase Elliott?
Oh, give me Busch.
Chase.
Of course, it's going to be Chase because Kyle Busch is going to end up in the wall on fire.
Whoa.
Chase is getting his revenge.
Speaking of Busch, I know John was a fan of Allison Brie after watching that movie last night.
Yeah, huge fan. There was a lot of Kyle Busch there.
Oh.
So Martin Truex versus Kevin Harvick. We know where Stibbs is going with this.
Marty.
I'll ride with Stibbs. I'll hop on the Stibbs train, though I won't be face to face like they are at Iowa.
It's the Stibbs truck. It's Marty.
Oh, my
truck.
bad. Yeah, I'll be on the truck.
I'll be different just to be different. I'll take Kevin Harvick. All right, back to Bundesliga soccer. You got your Bo Russia M Gladbach versus Bayer Leverkusen.
I am down with Russia. I am a fan of Advil. Give me Bayer.
Bayer. I went with Bo Russia last week. I'm going to go with Bayer. I like Bayer. Bayer's good aspirin.
I mean, you guys are missing the obvious. It says Glad in Bo Russia's name. I think it's Borussia, by the way. I'm going to go with Glad because I'm going to be glad this weekend because I have another day off. This is going to be awesome. Golfing on my.
We got Bayern München is a 2-goal favorite over Eintracht Frankfurt.
Not bad.
I listen, you're going to give me that many goals?
It's a lot of goals.
Give me the Franks.
So I watched a lot of Bayern last week, and they struggled to pull away. If I was watching them, maybe I was watching somebody else. I'm going to go with Bayern, though. Bayern -2. I think that they didn't, dominate. Let's see.
Freiburg versus Ed Werder Bremen.
I love fries, so I'm going with Freiburg.
I like fries and burgers. Freiburg.
Nice. John hates both of those things.
Big Ed Werder guy, John?
Yeah, why not?
Wasn't he the Cowboys guy for a long time?
Yeah. He still is. He's back, folks.
Well, then he definitely knows who Dick Prescott is.
John here for the Dallas Cowboys, I guess.
Oh, John, welcome to the fan base, fam.
To Belarus. We've had a lot of Rue Brest, but I don't believe we've ever picked a Slutsk game before.
Whoa.
We haven't.
Slutsk versus Rue Brest.
Stibbs?
I will take. Give me the Sluts.
Yeah, he's
Slutsk. Hey there, John.
You're at the K.
Slutsk. Sorry, Slutsk.
The big K.
I'm a breast guy. I'm sticking with him. Rue Brest.
I thought you were a thigh guy.
Well, I am with the chicken.
Oh. I'm like the opposite of you. I want the chicken breast.
But you want the
But
yeah.
give me Slutsk.
You like the sluts? Okay. We got Islak versus FC Zvezda Bugminsk.
Man, I'm gonna miss this.
Man, where are the vowels? Can I buy a vowel?
There is not a
Belarus.
damn vowel to be had.
Come on,
There are
Belarus. You
no
got three
vowels
vowels in
here.
your country name, but like three combined in the team names.
You know how I feel
Stibbs?
about people who put FC soccer teams who put FC in their name. We would just like to remind you that this is the sport that we are playing while you're watching it. Give me Ishlok.
Ditto.
I disagree with both of you. FC is such a cool way to describe teams. I'm going with the football club.
In case you guys were wondering, we're out here playing the football, not the cricket. We are the football club, not the cricket club.
Honestly, that's part of it is that some of those
Shut
names.
up, Josh.
Okay.
Costa Rica. Municipal Perez Zeladon versus CS Cardigans.
Cardigans. Thanks for noticing.
They're cardigans. What the hell? Mr. Rogers was a nice guy because he wore cardigans. Give me team cardigans.
I'm with you, John. I love, well, I don't own any cardigans, but they seem pretty cool. I'm going to go with a cardigan.
I own a cardigan and I like them. Give me cardigans, I guess.
Dang, Stibbs is a
Wow, Stibbs never does this.
Yeah, 3
He
for
never agrees with us.
I've
when
watched
we
a lot
go
of
the other way.
Municipal Perez Zeladon, and I'm not confident in their ability.
Well, here's where we all gain a point on Stibbs. It's time for the match. It's Peyton Manning and Tiger Woods versus Phil Mickelson and the GOAT, Tom Brady. I'm, of course, taking Woods Manning.
Yeah, John, when you said here's where we gain a point on Stibbs, I thought that the question was going to be who won the Super Bowl this year, and Stibbs wouldn't say the Chiefs if he missed out on a point.
We should do that.
That'd be great every week. I agree with you, though. I'm going to go with Tiger and Peyton.
Can I do Mickelson and Peyton?
No, you can't.
All right.
Mickelson is with the GOAT.
You don't get anything. Mickelson.
Yeah,
I don't know. Go for it. I don't care.
will this event be decided before the 16th hole? Will this match play be decided before the 16th hole? Yes or no?
No.
I'll agree with Stibbs.
Even if it's about to be, someone will blow a putt or something. They're going to want it to be exciting and dramatic.
John?
I agree.
All right.
Will Tom Brady be wearing a Tampa Bay Bucks hat, a TB12 hat, or another hat on the first hole? The first hole, because you can't put it past him. He might not change. Will he be in a Bucks hat, a TB12 hat, or other on hole one? Other also includes no hat.
Oh.
I didn't think about that.
TB12. He's a hat guy, I think.
Yeah, I'm thinking that too. It's definitely not Bucks. It's going to be either TB12 or a sponsor, or someone paid him to wear something.
I hope he wears a visor, because then John would have to decide how he feels about the GOAT and his favorite player in the history of the world, Tom Brady, wearing a visor.
John would buy a 50-pack of visors on Amazon that day.
Oh, yeah. He'd go into Mark's office on Tuesday. Hey, I got a visor. Can you put a zone logo on this for me?
Stibbs, you going to make a pick, or you're going to pratter on like a moron?
I think it's TB12.
Real quick, Casey Mike's mom says sluts. That's my favorite team. Okay.
Will we have an announcement from either Major League Baseball, the NBA, or the NHL on resumption of the season before noon Central Time on Tuesday?
I vote no.
How far, real quick, John, that would be 2 weeks into baseball's plan and 2 weeks into the time frame almost, and same with the NBA?
Yes.
I'm going to say yes, and here's my dark horse. It's going to be the NHL. We didn't talk about this today, but the NHL is they're planning on moving forward. They have proposed a bunch of stuff, including a 24-team playoff, which would be absolutely awesome. So I will say that it's the NHL actually that announces their resumption by Tuesday.
I'm going to roll the dice on this and agree with you.
Nice.
And finally, The Powerball, red number, over under 13.5. By the way, I swept both Powerball categories last week. Give me the over at 13.5.
Same.
Under.
And there you go. Predictions for another week. What You Say is coming up next here on 1620 The Zone.
Aaron said that the audio is cut out on the stream, but I just went on YouTube and it's working for me.
Hmm. Well, I can bring up YouTube here and take a listen.
Yeah, it worked on mine.
Yeah, audio works. Audio works on YouTube.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Have you seen the picture, Stibbs, of that pizza place that Dan Hoppins tweeted out a few times called Moots? It's like a new place. Moots Pizza.
I have not.
I'm trying it tonight. I'm very excited.
Is it Omaha?
Yeah, it's a neighborhood pop-up serving Nebraska-inspired pizza with locally influenced food and flavors.
Nebraska-inspired pizza. What is that?
It looks delicious.
Yeah, I'm not making fun. I'm legit.
what
I've
is
never heard of.
Inspired, yeah.
You know, you hear Detroit, Chicago, New York. What is Nebraska-style pizza?
Yeah, right. Pizza with a minimalist approach. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, Aaron just tweeted at us and said, now seems back. Odd. Well, I'm happy it's back, Aaron.
Maybe it's just like when I talk and it cuts out you guys. Maybe it's just that normal muting of us talking over each other.
Dude, it's going to be so nice when we're back in the studio and that doesn't happen anymore.
Right? Drops are back.
Oh,
I miss playing drops.
Yeah, me too.
I just don't. There's so many times I want to and I don't because I know you won't hear it and then it's awkward.
Yeah. Will we have the new cameras on Tuesday? Do you know?
I don't know.
When's Mike buying those?
I don't know. Actually Mark's going to buy them because I was just going to swap out the ones in Coil and bring them in here. The thing I was thinking about though when we were talking to Matt about OBS and having everything in the same computer, that's all great. We basically wouldn't be able to do interviews on it anymore though.
Oh, then let's not do it.
Because I don't think there's a way
Severe
to
at 7 in the morning.
and I don't think there's a way to send a link for someone to just join in with us. Right?
Yeah, it's a private thing. Yeah, I love the idea of just like not having to do anything, like where we could all be literally on the same thing. But if it works, if we can run it on all three computers at the same time, and it's still like because this sounds great. And then theoretically, since we're all going to be into the same board, there won't be
we won't have the issues of the audio that because audio will come. I might just mute everyone except where the audio is coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see what it looks like. There might be a slight delay in talking compared to where the audio is, but there shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to seeing how that works.
We'll find out.
And since, I mean, in all seriousness, with the hockey board that you have hanging up, like, I mean, we could put the cameras up there. I guess that might be a little too high.
Yeah,
I mean, John has a computer right in front of him. I could use the computer that you have.
Shouldn't we be using the cameras off our computers?
No, we're gonna do it. They're getting us new cameras, so we're all gonna be hooked into the board.
But I don't know if that's gonna work in this program.
I'll have 3 different computers for each camera.
Yeah, we'll have 3 separate computers, John. It'll be like this, but with 3 desktops.
But I wonder if that's. I mean, doing it this way could work.
Well, but
just muting the audio from
like conduct. 1620. The Zone.
What you say? That you only meant well.
Okay, let's get into some other topics of the day as Mike Stibbs brings us What You Say.
LeBron has been holding private, safe workouts with his teammates, according to Shams Charania of The Athletic. Everybody's been reportedly tested and has practiced social distancing. So should folks be losing their minds over this?
Does seem odd. I mean, how are they exactly able to do this? And what if you're practicing social distancing, how are you practicing basketball? I mean, yeah, you can shoot around by yourself, but if the point is to practice together, then don't you need to practice together, working on drills that require you to be together? I'm not sure really what the point of all of this is, but I'm a little surprised that folks haven't inquired more as to what exactly it is he's doing.
I think that people aren't inquiring more because you have to practice if you're going to play, and thus there won't be any social distancing when you start playing basketball and when you start playing football. Like these are going to be the things that happen. And so if we're all moving forward with the idea of sports returning, and basketball is certainly going to do that, hopefully soon, this is what you have to do. So I don't know. Like I've said it a few times this week. I've just kind of thrown my hands up and said, all right, this is, I guess, what we're going to do now. So I'm not going to get bent out of shape because guys are practicing. If the season's returning, might as well practice.
If that topic isn't spicy enough for you, let's try this. Former Bengals coach Marvin Lewis is incensed at the idea of changing the NFL's Rooney Rule for hiring minority executives and GMs, saying it's offensive and, quote, like having Jim Crow laws.
Whoa.
What do you think of the proposal, which awards teams a higher third-round draft pick if they hire a minority coach or GM?
See, like I've gone back and forth on this all week long because I think it was proposed at the beginning of the week, or maybe it was the end of last week. On one hand, I like incentivizing, having more diversity inside of the league because it's a league that has so many players that are not white, and yet the higher you kind of go up into the system of a franchise, and specifically you look at quarterback coaches, offensive coordinators, and then obviously head coaches, and that is dominated by white, coaches or players or whatever it is. On the other hand, this seems, once again, like the thing I always worry about with the Rooney Rule is that it forces owners to just do token offers, and I don't say that word lightly. Where they just, hey, come on in, Marvin Lewis, we'll interview you, even though, of course, we all know that we're not going to hire you. And so that's the thing that I worry about this. Are you actually making those hires because you believe in them, or is it about draft picks? And that's the weird part about all this.
Yeah, I think it cheapens the hire. You should want to hire whoever it is you hire because you think they're the best person for the job, regardless of what their race or their gender is. And I always think programs like this, I get the spirit behind it. I get wanting to incentivize it, but sometimes by incentivizing, you also cheapen the position. You cheapen the hire by saying, well, see, we're going to give you something because you hired this type of person. The reason you should want to hire any type of person for any position is because they are good at their job. And instantly people will think, well, the only reason they hired so-and-so is because they could get a better draft pick, which would be a very short-sighted thing to do in the first place. But I don't know. I think there are better ways to do this. And the better way to do this is to change attitudes. You're not going to change attitudes by incentivizing based on draft status.
Here's some more spice. This is not a very Mike Pence friendly What You Say. Friend of the program, Mike DeCourcy of the Sporting News, says anyone that wants a proposed change to the onside kick in the NFL to a 4th and 15 play from their own 25 should be booted off the planet.
Whoa.
He adds it would be worse than the NBA's advance the ball rule on a timeout. Oh, the takes.
Well, okay, here's the take I have the biggest problem with. Nothing could be worse than the NBA's advance the ball on a timeout rule. That's
Wrong.
The worst take that he has. That is the worst take.
Wrong.
There is a gimmick. This is a gimmick play.
100% it's a gimmick.
But
if you're not allowing like onside kicks to actually be a thing anymore, like what are we doing? Why even?
Well, we've made it harder. We've made it harder to get onside kicks, but this would be the equivalent of, well, we narrowed the goalposts because we figured that it was too easy for kickers to make field goals, but we'll give you 4 points for a field goal instead of 3.
That sounds good.
I get where he's coming from in all of this, but at the end of the day, The sports are there to try to entertain us. And is it really as gimmicky as advancing the ball on a timeout if you just run another scrimmage play?
The entire game of football was a gimmick when it first started. Like everything's a gimmick at first until it's not.
That's what I was going to say. A 2-point conversion? What? That's a gimmick. A 3-point shot in basketball? What? That's a gimmick. Like every single rule could be, if it results in points being scored or something goofy happening, you can make the argument that it's a gimmick. Bad take. I look, the onside kick ruled right now sucks. I don't like how football is essentially taking that out of the game. If you want to be safe and eliminate kickoffs, that's fine with me, but you still got to give it the team that is down an opportunity, or even the team that's up, I don't care, the opportunity to keep the ball. And that's the other thing too, John, is we rarely talk about it. If you're a team with a great quarterback who has an awesome game, like the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes is killing teams. Why not just keep doing that, going forward on a 4th and 15 over and over and over?
By the way, we did not mention this yesterday or as part of this question. You get a maximum of 2 of these opportunities a game, so you can't keep doing it. You only get 2 of these per game.
I like the excitement of what you're thinking, Josh, but I mean, yeah, it would throw it. There's a possibility of having some absolutely astronomical blowouts and really screwing with an entire season if that's the case. After the great success of The Last Dance, ESPN has decided to do another series going with 9 episodes for Tom Brady. Obviously, we know John will be watching in nothing but his underwear, but does Brady really need that many episodes?
So here's the issue with it. Brady himself, does he deserve a long documentary? Of course. He's the greatest quarterback in the NFL, in the history of the NFL. Like, I totally get it from that perspective. The problem, though, once again, is that the behind-the-scenes nature of The Last Dance, even though it really wasn't emphasized as much until the very end, was the biggest selling point to that. I would be stunned if there is that amount of footage behind the scenes with Tom Brady. And I watched the trailer for it, and it just was so bland. It was like a Mike Pence meal stibs. There was no spice in what he had to say about his success throughout his career. And I figure it's
but they haven't made this, have they?
I mean, it's coming out, I think, next year. So it's
really.
I think they've done some of the interviews, and it was like, you know, the team, we were down, but we believed in each other. So I'm worried this is going to be the most bland, boring thing of all. I'll watch it, of course, because I like football and I like sports. But it's not going to be anywhere near as good as the MJ doc.
My biggest problem is there's success always breeds copycats, and copycats rarely are as good as the original. And the other thing is, why don't we wait until the story is done?
Exactly.
To me, this part of his story is every bit, if not more interesting than a lot of the other stuff, save for the beginning of his career, because now he is branching out on his own and he's trying to break away from the Patriots and from Belichick and prove that he is more than just a guy who benefited from a great head coach and a great organization. I think they're just jumping the gun, and if they wait until his career is done, it will be a better overall product.
It'd be like they releasing The Last Dance right before Jordan goes to play for the Wizards.
That would have been funny.
The NSAA gave approval to bowling as a fully sanctioned sport, but girls wrestling fell 3 votes short of receiving the same. Josh, we know how you feel about wrestling. Give us your thoughts.
I mean, look, if anybody wants to compete in that sport, I'm sad that now that those, I mean, the girls can still wrestle in boys wrestling, right? So props to them on that.
Well, no, there will be girls wrestling, but it won't be sanctioned as a full-fledged sport. Like bowling has been around, but it's not like a full-fledged championship sport until now.
So yeah, don't really care.
Cool. We have our first 3-day weekend in what seems like 4 million years. You guys grilling anything good this weekend?
I don't know. I honestly haven't thought that far ahead. It's whatever the wife brings home, I guess.
John, come on. You're the grill master. You put your foot
I haven't thought
down.
about it. I haven't thought about it.
Down to say, woman, I want a ribeye, or I don't know, whatever kind
Woman, if we don't have pork chops tonight, I'm ripping those shampoo and conditioner things off the wall. No more body soap dispensers for you. Here's a tweet.
I like my body soap dispenser.
Here's a tweet. Michael Bay I could stop there. To produce a COVID-19 inspired film titled Songbird that will film in 5 weeks. It takes place 2 years in the future, with the pandemic still ongoing due to a virus that continues to mutate. The tone has been compared to Cloverfield and Paranormal Activity. Is this the worst news of all time?
Where are the
cares?
explosions, Stibbs? I mean, where will the explosions be?
God, who cares?
This mutating virus will actually end up being some sort of robot from space, and things will explode somehow.
Don't care.
Finally, Canadian scientists think they have found a strain of cannabis that can help prevent or treat coronavirus infections. Is this the best news of all time?
Stibbs is tremendous. Look at John. John Bishop, doubter of science. You missed it earlier this week, Stibbs. John was way out on science. I don't need to wear a mask. What do you mean? Why can't I go to the movie theater? He was complaining about all sorts of stuff. John Bishop, anti-science and anti-weed. Sad, John. Sad.
Yeah, this is science. Did you see the quote in the story where they said, yeah, we were really surprised. And then when it worked, we were really surprised. It was like,
I'm surprised too.
It's like, it sounds like Harold and Kumar got a freaking license to study science or something.
The Wright brothers weren't surprised when their plane started flying?
Thank you, Steve.
Exactly what was going to happen. That's boring.
This is the most COVID thing ever.
What about the guy that cooked the first good chocolate chip cookie? He was like, whoa, I'm surprised. This doesn't taste like garbage. Meanwhile, John's like, I don't believe it.
Why is anyone surprised about anything when they find out information?
Yeah, the odds of these people actually being scientists are very remote.
Like that if anyone comes into even the same room as cannabis, John immediately just brands them as pothead. You touch?
No, I do not have I do not have an objection to legalizing it. I don't. But the fact that this is actually true, sorry, I'm not buying it.
Scientists in quotes. Is it because they're Canadian, or is it because that they're doing tests on cannabis?
Both.
Okay, there we go.
Wow, John, anti-Canada. They're at the University of Lethbridge, John. That's a great university.
Sounds crazy smart.
I'm sure it's great. All right, let's go to break, and we'll come back and wrap up the week and get you ready for Memorial Day weekend on 1620 The Zone.
Oh, wow. Patrick Ewing tested positive. That sucks. Wow. I hope Georgetown people are watching this right now and heard John's reaction to that news.
No, I'm just
Head
reading.
Coach of Georgetown has coronavirus, and John started humming a weird happy tune.
No, I wasn't humming a weird happy tune. I was trying to.
Just kidding,
read through it
Georgetown.
real
Please don't take
quick.
that seriously.
I was trying to. He's under care. He's at a hospital. Interesting.
God, that sucks.
Oh my. Ugh. God, I wish it wouldn't rain tonight.
Yeah, I was just checking the weather for tomorrow, and the humidity in the morning is going to be absolutely ridiculous because of it raining overnight.
Oh yeah.
DylanChevy.com.
You are what drives us, Sid Dillon.
Chevy, find new roads.
How much time will we have, Stibsy?
Not much.
He has to delete stuff.
This is a very hard
We
question.
don't hear you, Stibs.
2 minutes.
Austin says, "Can
Somebody's been hanging out with Canadian scientists.
you guys do this
Scientists.
for all 4 hours each day? Good stuff. It'd be fun, Austin.
No, because then we couldn't talk about the things we normally talk about when the cameras aren't rolling.
That's true. Yeah, there's something that I want to talk about, but we can't.
This is usually the part where Josh talks about his murder cult and all the people he wants to target this weekend.
To not murder, because we are my cult anti-murder. I don't know how many times I have to tell you guys this. It's like you never listen to me.
You make a list to walk up to these people and just to let them know that you will not murder them.
Yes, and it just says all of humanity, except for the bad guys.
Interesting.
Oh, except for the bad guys. And who gets to choose who the bad guys are? Hmm? You know, to some people, the bad guys might have been the good guys.
I look at the FBI most wanted.
Sportsmanlike conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson.
John doesn't have the good tongue skills, I guess.
The 1620, The Zone.
Well, we had a little ditty in predictions predicting on whether or not any one of the major sports leagues, NBA, Major League Baseball, or NHL, would have an announcement about the resumption of a season by Tuesday at noon. There is something that will happen on Tuesday, according to Evan Drylick, who writes for The Atlantic, writes for baseball for The Atlantic. He says that Major League Baseball plans to deliver a new economics proposal to the Players Association on Tuesday. So that's worth noting. And there was a good story today in the New York Post, an opinion column that said that the most important thing to hammer out right now is the health and safety stuff, because that's all the unknown stuff. That's stuff that these sides have never had to debate before. So once you get through that and you come to an agreement on that, then the financial stuff, even though it's a sticky wicket as well, and you got, people positioning on both sides, that's the stuff you're used to negotiating. And that's the kind of stuff you can probably, believe it or not, hammer out faster, because there's so much more that you know. So I wonder if the new economic proposal that the owners are putting out is because they have come to somewhat of an agreement on the health and safety side of it.
Yeah, and I'm betting there's a lot of backlash too, because a lot of people have taken the side of the players over the last week or so.
All right, that'll do it for this week. On Tuesday, we'll be back in studio with plexiglass and shower curtains.
Oh, baby!
Stibs, shower.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching all day. All right, later.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Bye, friends.
End broadcast.